It is time now for the Sweetheart Program, brought to you today by Hereford Feed Ingredients. Our sweethearts here on Gillam Advertising, MuleshoeTV.com, are Charles and Margaret Hamilton. Sweet people indeed, and we wanted to recognize them now, especially as both are hardworking, dedicated people, and Margaret has recently retired after working at Muleshoe State Bank, Eng Bank, for over 40 years. Charles is the son of the late Herbert and Louisa Hamilton, and he was born at home on August the 4th, 1937, in Camden, New Jersey. He went to school and high school at Camden County Vocational School and studied to become an auto mechanic before joining the United States Air Force and wound up being stationed at Cannon Air Force Base in Clovis. Margaret Durham was born in DeKalb on July the 9th, 1943, and moved to Muleshoe in 1954 with her aunt and uncle, May and Howard Thornton, and first went to school here right across the street from where they lived, where Mary DeShazo Elementary is today. Her uncle Howard was a suction operator at Paymaster Gin. Margaret graduated in the Muleshoe High School class of 1961, and right after she graduated, she married Charles Hamilton June the 3rd, 1961, at the Northside Church of Christ here in Muleshoe, where Archie Scarborough performed the ceremony. Their attendants were Charles's older brother, Herbert Hamilton Jr., and John Hutton, and Volita Johnson, and Margaret's cousin, Karen Durham. Margaret and Charles met on a blind date at the Cox Drive-In Theater. It was February 28th, 1960, and Margaret at the time was a junior at Muleshoe High School. One of her friends, Desi Pope, was dating an airman out of Clovis, and she asked Margaret if she would like to go on a blind date with her boyfriend's friend who really wanted to go out with someone. Charles said he was just biding his time as he only had a few more months before being discharged from the Air Force, and he would move from Clovis back to New Jersey. Charles was discharged in June of 1960 from the Air Force, but he didn't wind up back in New Jersey as he moved to Muleshoe to be closer to Margaret. He first lived in a rented bedroom house in the home of Mrs. Zelphia Zimmer on West 2nd Street here in Muleshoe, across from the First United Methodist Church. Then, after Charles and Margaret were married, they lived in a small house behind Mrs. Zimmer's home. Charles first worked in Muleshoe at King Feedlot, helping build the original feedlot. Margaret's uncle helped get him that job. Later, Charles worked at the Alfalfa Mill on the east side of town, and then at the John Deere House for 28 years for first Jack Lenderson, then Roy Witt, and last for Tuffy and Ronnie Dent. He began working there September of 1961. For a while after the John Deere House, he worked at Pointers, and then 15 years at C&H Equipment. Margaret's first job after she married was for Harry and Wilma Waddle at Western Drug, then at Lane Furniture. Then in 1963, she went to work at the First National Bank, now the First Bank. Then she became a stay-at-home mom when their first daughter, Lisa, arrived. They have two daughters, Lisa and Dana. She went back to work part-time in 1977 to Muleshoe State Bank, and then full-time in 1982. And just recently retired from Eng Bank after over 40 years of service there, and we know that she will be greatly missed. We might also want to add in that Charles worked at the bank for a few years part-time, helping open things up in the mornings. Their youngest daughter, Dana, is married to Jeremy Archuleta of Clovis. Dana is employed in the Clovis schools, and Jeremy works at United Supermarkets. Their daughter, Jordan, is a student at Marshall Middle School, and Dana's oldest son, Charlie Green, is married to his wife, Stephanie, and they have two kids, Anna and Jake, and they are stationed at the Joint Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland. Jorby and Lisa Lee of Portales. Jorby worked in construction for many years before an accident left him disabled. Lisa works as a high school English teacher, an elementary music teacher, and a cheer coach at Floyd Municipal Schools. They have two children, Jacoby Lee and Taryn Meeks. Jacoby Lee is married to Beth, and they have three children, Ryder Craig, Micah, and Janie Lee. Jacoby works for W.T. Denton, and Beth is a stay-at-home mother. Taryn's husband is Garrett Meeks, and their son is Phoenix. She works for a heart doctor as a nuclear technician, and her husband is a phlebotomist. Margaret and Charles are both still very active at their church at the 16th and Avenue D. They were on the board, both of them, at the Heritage Center for a while, but no longer are. They still follow their grandkids and great-grandkids around for many of their extracurricular activities, so they both stay very, very busy. They still travel, and the family goes on regular vacations together to Dallas Cowboys games and Texas Rangers games in the Metroplex. They also all went to Ruidoso together, all of them, even the great-grandkids once. Charles and Margaret enjoy working in their yard, and it is such a lovely yard. Charles enjoys growing flowers and often works still on making things in his shop as well. Margaret still sews and crochets. Up until a couple of years ago, they still did things like zip lining and whitewater rafting, but they have slowed down a bit from that pace over the last few months. And our sweethearts here on Gil-Am Advertising, Channel 6, MuleShoeTV.com, are sweet people indeed. Charles and Margaret Hamilton, some of our favorite muleshoeites, and have a wonderful retirement as you both richly deserve it, as Margaret has recently retired after working 40-plus years at Muleshoe State Bank, AIM Bank here in Muleshoe. And God bless you and your entire family, our sweethearts, Charles and Margaret Hamilton. The Sweetheart program has been brought to you today by Hereford Feed Ingredients. You can find it on MuleShoeTV.com on our website. Click on the Sweetheart link at the top of the page. If you'd like to nominate someone to be our sweetheart here on MuleShoeTV.com, call 806-272-3990. We need a short biography and a picture.